Welcome. We're here on episode 3 of the Cyber Hygiene Show. I'm Meir Niad. I'm a web tech strategist, and I help businesses with their online presence, everything going on the internet. And I'm here with my co-host, Rich Freiberg. He's a seasoned CPA turned cybersecurity consultant. Rich, what are we talking about today?
Well, today we're going to talk about a live case that Meir and I are working on together. This is a colleague of mine that I've known about 20 years. And he came to me, I'm going to say about a month ago, and said, Rich, no one knows I'm alive. I said, okay, let's have a conversation. So in the course of our conversation and discovery, we learned that they are using an MSN email address, which we'll go over. 2, there's nothing on his website. There's no newsletters, articles, podcasts, or anything else or content. That's also obviously a problem. Number 3, 2 LinkedIn accounts. One had no contacts. One had maybe 50 contacts. Nothing has been posted since I think it was either 2019 or 2020. If you want to get noticed, you need a presence. You're not getting a presence if no one knows you're there. Basically, he has a billboard up there. Doesn't work. So let's talk about his email address. I'm not saying you should never have a free email address. We all probably have them for all the junk emails that we get. It's not necessarily junk, but it's related to non-business functions, whether it's charities we're involved in or traveling or banking or a whole bunch of other things. But if you have a business, all those free accounts, Gmail, MSN, Yahoo, Hotmail, they just don't work. If you're not interested in putting up $10 or $50 or whatever the cost is to set up a professional email address account that mirrors your business account, then no one's going to take you seriously. It's literally like having a telephone that's not even a business phone. You have a recorded message and you hear your spouse in the background, you hear your kids fighting, you hear your dog barking. You have 2 seconds to make your first impression, and those are not good impressions to make. So, Meir, why don't you speak about email addresses and what we propose to do for this individual?
Yes, that's right. I personally, this is a big pet peeve of mine, seeing a business. You spent money to get a domain name, which is great. You're advertising, but then your email address is Tom's Plumbing 375 Dallas at gmail.com. I can't take you seriously. And most of the spam emails I get these days they're pretty well written. They're really good at trying to sell you on their services, but they're always from a free email account, a Gmail or Yahoo, MSN. You got to get your domain hosted with email, and you can do that with Google Workspace, only $6 a month per user. I mean, $6. If you can't spend $6 on your business, is it really a business or is this just a hobby to you? And if Google is not your cup of tea, Zoho is another company. I'll have all these links later in the show notes. And it's not that difficult to get it set up. I can help you out with that, or there's lots of tutorials online.
We always recommend professional help. I mean, I just chuckle. I'm thinking about a commercial on TV that's right now, and some guy's getting carried out of his house by probably a bunch of paramedics. I think he tried to take out his own appendix or something. Some things just, you got to laugh about it because it's just so corny and goofy. But that's not the impression you want to make. Get professional help. If you can't invest in your business, then no one's going to take you seriously. And that was the first thing that we attacked. This is a very simple fix. The next thing is obviously the website. Your website needs to be more than a billboard. It needs to be frequently updated. If your website hasn't been looked at since it was put on the internet in 2005 or whatever it was, no one's going to take you seriously. This guy had a website that had not been looked at or improved or modified in probably 15 or 20 years. There's so much out there today. There's so much that you can do on your own or do with professional help. We're not necessarily espousing ChatGPT or AI, and obviously it comes with real serious caveat. All of that may be great, but as a couple of lawyers have found out, I think one was definitely in New York City, as I recall, and I think one was in Colorado. You had better check what that writes for you, because it's often wrong. Now, I know we actually checked out myself. And what I learned about myself is I have some type of, I have a different business than I have. One business was right. The other one said I was in some type of contractor. I basically have three left hands. If I screw a light bulb in or put a battery in a flashlight, I've done a good job if I didn't break anything. So you have to check everything out, but it can be used very effectively as a guide. And I often use it to critique the things that I write. I write weekly podcasts, I write weekly newsletters, and sometimes they write a little more succinctly than I do. Now, I've been doing these for about 4 or 5 years, and I think I've gotten pretty good. But sometimes they can condense it and eliminate some sentences that I might think are relevant. And I look at what they have, and I may decide, all right, I think that looks pretty good, or I may put some of what I had in there back in there. But it is a good starting point, and there is content that you can have that you can certainly put on your website. A static website is of absolutely no value. In this guy's case, he hasn't written anything, and he has colleagues, he has competitors, and we looked at a couple of their websites. There's content on there. I'm not saying plagiarize anything else, but if you're in a business, especially a service business, and you're helping businesses, individuals, whatever it is that they want, and you can't come up with any content and extrapolate what someone else has done and add to it or put in your own thoughts and ideas, well, once again, no one takes you seriously. And this is where he is, and this is what we're helping him to do. Obviously, there are companies that put out and work in the same line of business that he does, so we're using that as a starting point, and we're asking him a lot of questions. And Meir, why don't you go over some of the questions that you've asked him, because you're the one that's helping him do this more than I am.
Right. So looking at his website, it was very basic, not updated. It's almost like he took a business card and expanded upon it. So I'm telling him, the people who come to your site want to know what you do for them. What value can you bring them? Don't just list your services, but explain what they do to benefit the consumer and what is special about you versus the 20 other people who do the same thing that you do. What can you do that's different to help people out? You've got to have content every week, every month, new content, your take on a topic, not just here is the standard topic like you would read in a textbook. I don't need to go to your website to read a textbook. I can do a search and learn basic information. I want to hear what you think about that topic. Let's see. He also didn't have a good search engine optimization going on. There's lots of things you could do for SEO to get listed on the engines. I'm not going to tell you there's specific things to do to get on the first page or get the top of the rankings. Actually, be careful about that. Anyone who's trying to sell you services and is going to guarantee you to be in the top 3 spots of Google, I don't trust those guys. You can't guarantee that. You can't guarantee someone can get listed and indexed in the search engine. And I could show you how to check your indexing. We brought up this person's website. I think he only had 1 page indexed. And I brought up a competitor's website, and it had hundreds of pages of their site indexed. And those index pages are what are going to be found when people are typing search queries for your kind of business. what they are typing needs to be on a page on your site somewhere.
That's right, Mayor. In his case, he wasn't doing any of that. And I'm going to let Meir talk to the technical aspect of it, but there are certain words and phrases that are going to elevate you further up the list. If you're not doing that, it's kind of shame on you. You know, people that try to do it themselves, as I cheerily spoke about that poor person trying to take his appendix out. Why do that? You know, the professionals know the types of words and phrases that you can put on there that are going to elevate you on the list. If you want someone to find you, the further up the list you go, the more likelihood it is that you're going to be found. I mean, at least if your intent, and I would think if you're in business to make money, that should be your intent. In this case, he wasn't doing any of that. And there's so much content out there today that we're helping him develop. You know, one of the things I said to him that would be a real advantage, when you work with a lot of companies, you may work with some person today and that person's not there tomorrow, and you're working with a variety of different people. One of the advantages in working with someone that's a very small company or even solo is that what you see is what you get. If you connect with this person and they're helping you, that's the only person you're working with. Now, I'm not saying it's always advantageous. People do silly things like die or get sick and go on vacation. But the opportunity, if that's something that is relevant to you, if that's one of your competitive selling advantages, or what we call a unique value proposition, that's very helpful. You know, I know myself, I work with a lot of companies that are not conglomerates. Some of our colleagues and clients we work with are, but a lot of the companies that at least that I work with and Meir works with also, that we partner up with, they're not large companies. So that's a real big advantage that you get in working with a small company. You get a different take on things than you get from a larger company that oftentimes may be out of touch. They're not always out of touch, but you don't always get the customer service that you've come to expect. You know, and I know for me personally, I work with a lot of larger companies, not in business, but in other areas of my life. And the customer service that you often get is not very good. And it's very, very frustrating. So that's one area that we're helping him with. Now, as Meir said, his social media presence was pretty much nil. And I know myself, anyone that follows me or connected with me on LinkedIn is going to see that I probably put online anywhere from 5 to 15 things a day. Now, I'm probably not the greatest person in terms of posting. I tend to post things a bunch here and a bunch there. But one of the things I learned before I went on vacation about 7 or 8 months ago is you can actually program LinkedIn to tell it when certain things will go out. You know, so I learned. I was away in December for about 3 weeks, and I had things programmed to go out every day. So no one had any idea where I was. Not difficult to do. There's a little button on LinkedIn. You know, if you get about to program something, I forget exactly what it looks like, but if you're going to hit next, it's right to the left of it. And you can say, when do you want it to go out? What time? And that's something that we always experiment with. When are people most likely to look at your post on LinkedIn? Or for that matter, I guess any social media platform. The only one I use these days is LinkedIn. I no longer use X or Twitter or Meta, which I didn't use for business anyway. And all the other platforms I can't comment on because I've never been on any of them. But the ability to program things for a certain time, I think is crucial. And if you're not posting, then once again, no one knows you're out there. Big mistake.
That's true. Just because you have a website doesn't mean anybody knows about it. And just because you made a post doesn't mean everybody saw it. That's the thing too. The way the algorithms work these days, it's not the way it used to be where everyone you're connected to got shown what you're seeing. Everything now is interest based. So if I stop and look at cats, I'm going to start seeing more posts about cats in my feed. So it's advantageous to post more often because people are online at different times of the day. You know, Rich might put his post out at 12. Maybe I don't go on LinkedIn until 6. By then, there's 100 posts that buried his. I'll never even see that post he made. So also the point he was making about scheduling is great. Batch content. You can spend a weekend writing a bunch of articles or posts you want to make, and then spend an hour or so scheduling them out for the next few weeks. And then that's your social media is done, and you can work on your core business Monday to Friday.
Yeah, that's an important point. I mean, I actually discovered this by accident before I went on vacation last December. I didn't know. So knowing me, I probably Googled, is there a way to schedule a post? And not to my surprise, but I learned how to do it. And although I work in technology, I'm not necessarily the most technologically equipped person out there. I'm more of an ideas person. I tend to find things and spot opportunities that no one else does. Now, in one of my businesses, I spotted an article on one of my morning feeds. It's a feed called JD Supra. And one of my colleagues loved it. He said, yeah, we can absolutely do this. And I remembered someone I worked with about 10 years ago. They did that. And I've lost touch over the years, but people I'm working with in this area now, they love the idea. So that's kind of what I bring to the table is a different perspective on things. And I'll find things because I'm constantly reading, constantly learning. But, in this case, he wasn't doing anything. And he's wondering, like, why doesn't he make any money? Why does no one call him up? Why does no one send him a message? I said, I said, when was the last time you spoke to the person that worked on your website? I said, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago. I said, well, no offense, your website is not doing anything for you. I mean, it's probably doing you more harm than it's doing you good. Because if I look at your website today and I come back in about a year because now I have a need for your service and it looks like the exact same website, my reaction is going to be, I think I'm going to look for someone else in your area. That's just me. Everybody might not be like that, but that's my take on it. If you don't want to take the time, and I probably update my website, I'm going to say about every month or so. As I said, I do podcasts every Tuesday. I do newsletters every Thursday. I have different things that I'm doing that I may change something in the website on a couple of the pages I have. Not that difficult. I don't do it, but I pass it on to the people that develop my website, and they do it for me. And it certainly helps because I get noticed a lot from my website. I get a lot of notifications on LinkedIn. We've got notifications even from this is our third episode, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback on this as well. If you don't get out there, you're not going to go anywhere. And I remember when I first got into a lot of these things, I think it was in 2010, maybe 2009. I went into social media kicking and screaming, this is a complete waste of time. Well, I've discovered, and I eat my words, this is not a waste of time, folks. If you want to enhance your business, you have to take an active interest in it. Being static is not the answer for you.
Right? A website is not a set it and forget it project. It needs constant nurturing. And social media, there's good and bad. You might not like it. I might not like it, but it is where the attention is in today's world. Your customers are online looking at social media for whatever reason. You got to get their attention wherever they are. So you have to be there too.
And once again, you don't have very much time to capture someone's attention. If you can't make your effective statement in the first 30 seconds, then you're not going to get anywhere. Now, I know when Meir and I first went on this call, did our discovery, response we got is, my person never asked me that. And I get that pretty much anytime I do any type of consulting. My professional never asked me that. And I said, well, can I ask you a couple of questions? And they always say, well, yeah. I said, what kind of investment do you have in your professional? And they tell me. I said, well, most professionals work on a time limit, whether it be every 6 minutes, every 15 minutes, every hour. So if they're paying you X and their rate is Y, that's how many hours they can afford to work on you for. And if they go over that, they didn't make their hourly rate, whatever their billing rate is. If they were able to do better, well, they made more than their standard rate. My response has always been the same. What if I can help you become more successful? And that becomes an eye opener for a lot of people. I said, I don't deal with timesheets. The only time I've dealt with a timesheet in the last 20 years is from helping a lawyer out because they're doing something in court and they need my time records. But I don't even have a time billing program anymore because it wasn't worth the upkeep on the program. Maybe a job I do once a year, once every 2 years. Holding to that, and I do a lot of posting on that, as I still am a CPA, kind of not practicing, but one of my pet things I want to do is I want to help the profession out, and I'm always posting things. How do you go against what's going on today? Now I know in that particular market, I know I'm going a little off topic right now. People don't want to get into the profession because I think I posted something a couple weeks ago. They're on overload. They're working 90 hours a week. Now, when I was 25, I could work 90 hours a week. I passed that, these gray hairs, a long time ago. So you have to, if you want to be up to date with what's going on today, you have to determine what the interest is in the marketplace. People don't want what they used to have 20 years ago. So now I'm bringing it back on target right now. People want help. They don't want somebody just charging them for doing something anybody could do. It's like the person that thinks they're website experts and they develop a website in their garage because they're 16 or 17 years old and they're cheaper than a professional. But yes, they are cheaper. But as I discovered with a client of mine about 10 years ago, was collecting money online, only had an HTTP : // Did I say that right, Meir?
Yeah.
I said, you have a massive problem if you don't even have a secure website. I said, you are looking at a lawsuit right in the mouth because you're collecting data. It's not just any data. It's someone's social, it's their credit card number. Now, I know it's become a little less urgent today because there's certainly how much money can they get from someone like that. But if you're collecting information from 50 or 100 customers, then you've committed malpractice. And once again, it's probably a cheap developer, never thought about it, never took the time to do discovery and due diligence to find out what it is that they did. That's the advantage of working with professionals like Meir and myself.
Right. There are a lot of people during the pandemic that decided they wanted to work from home, so they get into web design. So they offer to design your site. Okay, but with the lack of experience, they're not thinking deep like this. Ask them, what do you do for security for the website? How are you going to keep my website secure? What are your search engine tactics? Different things like that. Get technical, not just this looks pretty.
Yeah, but there's more than just colors and pictures. It's content and it's getting found by other people. That's what's important. That's why you need a professional. That's why you need professional to speak to professionals. They'll ask you more difficult questions. I mean, I've been doing questioning or discovery since I'm going to say for 25 years. So I've become pretty good at asking open-ended questions and not the questions that they ask of a lot of people where the answer is real simple. It's either yes or no, black or white. I'm going to ask you a question that's going to make you think. Our questioning is designed to make you think and espouse, well, what are your needs? What are your priorities? What do you want to see get done? What are your challenges you're having? What have you tried to do to address them? Have they worked? Let's go over why they haven't worked. Once again, professionals versus amateurs. Okay, well, I think we're getting close to the end of time. I think, Meir, you can put up any our contact information if there are any questions from the audience or somebody that's anyone else that's come in through our private chat. Take it away, Meir.
Let's see. We have a comment from Fred in Austin, Texas, asking about newsletters. That's a good point. Newsletters are a great way to keep in touch with your audience. You should have a form on your site that will collect their information, their email, so you can keep in touch throughout the year, because otherwise they might be someone who comes by, takes a look, and then they bounce. You never see them again. They can find you, but how do you reach out to them? So a lot of times we would do something called a lead magnet, where maybe you have an offering you can give up for free, like a how-to guide or a checklist, in exchange for their email address. And then you can keep in touch with all your potential customers throughout the year. You can keep them up to date on what you have going on. If you have any specials, you can send them links to your articles, all kinds of things.
It's a good point, Meir. Meir actually helped me with this. I used to write articles weekly and post them on LinkedIn. And Meir helped me set up, not only did he help me set up my own newsletter, he actually helped me in my signature, drive people there. So I've been doing these newsletters now on LinkedIn for several months, and I've had hundreds of people subscribe to them. And I reach out to them periodically. And I've gotten some, not only positive feedback, I've gotten business from them. Takes a little more work, but once you learn how to use it, and I always poke fun at myself because one of my business idols is Warren Buffett, and he's pretty self-deprecating. If he can do it, I can do it. I've learned how to do it. Matter of fact, one of them got posted about an hour ago, maybe an hour and a half ago. You just keep writing things. There's so much content out there for me in cybersecurity that I'm writing things constantly. I probably have things written for the next 4 months, and we're only July the 11th. I think I have things pretty much done through late October, early to mid-November. There's that much content out there. So in this guy's case, it's not that difficult for him to come up with things that his competitors are doing and write something to that effect, with or without our help, preferably more with our help, because we can certainly help him better word things and get it discovered, get it on LinkedIn, get it on his website. Everything that I post is not only on LinkedIn, but I have an entire page on my website. Now, I did follow some advice in that area. I don't have everything I've been posting for the last 4 or so years up there. I kind of archive a whole bunch of it. So that kind of dries me up in the SEO tools, from what I've learned. And I used to keep everything up there, and someone says, hey, you know what? You need to archive like 2 years of this. So now I regularly archive some of that. And that's also been very, very helpful. So one of the bunch of things, that advice that you get from Meir and I is very, very helpful. Meir and I will be live in 2 weeks on July 25th. As I say in the old TV show, same bat time, same bat channel. And we'll have another interesting topic for you. We're trying to keep these certainly related in the technology area, but we both felt that today was too important on this live case not to talk about it, because it impacts a lot of people that kind of scrimp on their business and don't invest in their business. And it's the old thing, do you want to work for your business or do you want to work in your business? Choice to us is obvious, but not everyone thinks about it that way. So thanks for attending. Any other questions that we got from the audience, Meir?
That is all for today.
Okay, well, thanks for attending, everybody, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right, stay safe out there.
Yes.